Hello travelers, Boardman21 here, and today I wanted to go over my plan for 1.0. A lot of people have been asking which build am I going to be starting, and they've also been asking what mode inside of Last Epoch I'm going to be playing. So I'm going to be starting on the new cycle. I'm going to be starting fresh with a hardcore character, and we're going to be going with the Dive Bomb Falconer, which is the guide that I recently released onto Maxroll. It's also the one I collabed with 𝐍𝐞𝐻𝐮 on YouTube, and of course those links will be in the description below. And what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to go to the build pointer. I'm going to show you where I'm putting my points right off the bat, because the end game build pointer is going to be much different than the leveling process, because there's going to be certain points you're going to want for melee skills early on before you go into bow. So things are quite a bit different if you look at that end game guide versus what you're going to first put into the skill trees. So let's go ahead and get started and show you exactly what I'm going to do. Now, just like I normally always do at the start of a new patch, I'm going to be doing a 1 to 76 leveling guide with every new character I make. So eventually the complete breakdown that I normally do with all the timestamps being when I put in points and passives into it and how I went through the entire thing will be broken down into a short video. And of course I will be live streaming my leveling process on Twitch and YouTube now that we can dual platform. But this is how I'm going to do it. I'm going to show you the planner in case you're wanting to prep ahead of time, since I can't give you the footage or the video beforehand. So first off, right in the passives, you have some choices here. We're going to go with Swift Assassin. We really want that attack speed and we want that physical damage, just so we do a little bit of damage, kill enemies quicker, you know, give them less time to actually attack us. On top of that, the attack speed's really going to help, because the main thing we're going to want to do is we're going to be using Flurry right off the bat, just because of how quick it attacks, and it allows us to get a bunch of health back on hit so that we have good sustain. We're going to be focusing on a lot of defense and ways to get our health full and replenish it, because we will be in hardcore. So we're going to throw 4 points into Swift Assassin. Then we're going to come straight down to 𝐿 to get some dodge rating and poison resist, and that's to unlock evasion. You want this as fast as possible so that we take less damage while moving. Now obviously if we're channeling or just using Flurry right off the bat, we're going to have to stop every time we use it, but it does also increase your dodge rating, so you get some extra dodge chance in there to dodge more hits. But again, at least while you're moving and you're not hitting enemies and you're not getting life back, you'll have less damage being taken. So 5 points into there, and then we're going to go straight into the dodge and parry. That's more dodge rating for us, which dodge is extremely powerful early on in the campaign, because just a little bit gives you a high chance to dodge, which is nice. And then you also get glancing blow chance out of this. That glancing blow chance will reduce the hits you take by 35% when it procs, so you'll have a 15% chance for that. And then right after that, we have 5 more points that we're going to throw in here. You can go ahead and go back to Swift Assassin for that attack speed, and then that last point into agility for that haste on hit chance to let you move a bit faster, and that'll of course keep you out of danger, be able to dodge mechanics much easier. Now that's going to be the 20 points in the base class, which is all you'll need. By this point you will have unlocked the Falconer mastery. But before we put any more points in, let's go over to the skills and what you're going to start with. The very first skill that I'm going to use is going to be Flurry, because you don't have explosive trap yet, which will be the main one we use later. You don't have access to your Falcon or dive bomb or smoke bomb or aerial assault, which will be our other skills. So we're starting with Flurry, which is a really safe bet. A lot of people use puncture, they say the damage is better. However, in hardcore, I just want to get as many hits as quick as possible, and Flurry has the fastest attack speed. So with our specialization here in Flurry, the first few points that you're going to want to go for is into Alacrity for that attack speed. This unlocks the Blood Reverie. You want to get 2 points in there next. This is going to give you a little bit of leech, but the big one is you want to point in Second Wind for that health gained when hitting at least one enemy. This is going to allow you to face tank things and get your health back easily so that you have a less risk of dying. So your first 4 points going to go just like that, and then before you can channel, you're going to want to get into some mana gain. But by the time you're getting to channeling, we're probably going to be switching over to Explosive Blast, but I'll get the points in there just to show you exactly what we're going to do. Now remember, health gain is very important. The other thing you really want to make sure you do is, if you have a weapon on, which you're going to, either one-handed sword, two-handed melee weapon, get health on melee hit. That's going to really help you survive as well. Again, this is really the setup for hardcore. The second skill we're going to spec into is going to be smoke bombs. For smoke bombs, what you really want to get out of it is you want the dust shroud, so you'll put a point into Shrouded in Darkness to get that glancing blow and dodge rating when it's active. You're going to be popping it as much as you possibly can in battle, just for that extra survivability. You really want to not take the risk of getting one shot, or just having that extra chance to dodge anything coming at you is going to be really helpful, or at least reducing the damage with that glancing glancing blow chance. Then we're going to work towards getting more damage, so 2 points in lingering fumes, and then start putting points into smoke blades, which gives you flat melee and throwing damage, which we'll be using melee, and that'll stack every second that you're inside of it. So you'll do more damage, and you'll also take less as long as you have glancing blows proccing, and of course chance to take less if you're dodging, which really helps as well. And then for the third skill, as soon as you unlock your mastery, you'll gain the Falconry. So you'll want to start speccing into the Falcon. He's going to do a ton of damage for you. And with the Falcon, the first few points you're going to want is the first point you definitely want in the Falconer's journey. This is going to give the Falcon damage per your level and Falcon damage per point of dex. So you can get some good damage at him right off the bat, and he'll scale with you every level and every point of dex you put in right off the bat. After that, we want him to start scaling with your stats. So you'll put a point and do side by side, a point and do train to hunt, and then a point and go for the eyes. And that'll be the first 4 points of those skills. Of course, that'll be Flurry, then that'll be Smoke Bomb, and then it will be Falconry. Now going back to Flurry for a minute, because before you get Explosive Trap and get more passives, you will have a few more levels to this. So like I said, the next few points after this, I would put 1 into getting mana back, so that once we channel it, we'll always get mana, or if you're using Smoke Bomb and Falconry, Falcon Knives, expensive mana things, at least you'll be mana generating with Flurry, since it is a 0 mana costing skill for us. And then we're going to throw another point into Second Wind. If you have plenty of health back, like on melee hit on weapon, or you have a couple of points into Sapping Strikes inside the passive, you don't really have to worry about that. You can start building into Alacrity, but then I'm going to throw 2 more points into this, and I'm going to stay away from channeling, and the reason for that is just because I want it to stay at 0 mana costing, so that if you put some points into Sapping Strikes in the passives over here, which I'll show you, you can get this health and mana back every time you use it, which is very, very strong, and just another way to get health back on hit, which is really going to be working quite well for you, just to keep you alive, again, because we're in hardcore. And then back to the skills here for Smoke Bomb. Just keep speccing into Smoke Blades for all of that damage. That's where the 8 points will go there. And then for Falconry, throw 1 into Exposed Weakness. And then we're going to want to build up into the Falconer's Mark here for him to get our character damage. So 1 point here, 1 point here, and 1 point there. And that's where the first 8 points will go in all 3 of those skills. And then we'll put in some more passives here, and we're going to get into Explosive Trap. Alright, when it comes to passives, now that we have 20 points in the base rogue class, we can start putting into the other ones, because you would have already chosen your mastery by this time. It's the first time you go to the end of time, so you will have the Falconer mastery, but we're not going to put into the Falcon first. We're actually going to go over to the Marksman, and the first 8 points is going to go into Draining Arrows. This will increase your bow attack speed, and it will give you 40 health gained every time that you use a bow attack and hit at least 1 enemy. And for us, that's going to be Flurry. So as soon as you have 8 points in here, you're going to switch from using a melee weapon into using Flurry with a bow, and this is going to make it ranged so you can stay away from the combat. This is going to make it much safer in hardcore, and every time you use it, you're going to get 40 health back plus whatever points you have in Sapping Strikes. Now if you have health on melee hit on your weapon, you're not going to want that anymore. You're going to go and use your bow, and of course on your bow you're not going to roll that, so you don't have to worry about it too much. This also means inside of the Flurry skill tree, you don't have to worry about the health so much in there, so you can start really building into the attack speed and the other bonus of damage to it. And then what you're going to do, once you have those 8 points there, you will then go into the Falconer, and we're going to put 5 points in here to unlock Explosive Trap. Those 5 points all going into Handler for minion damage, which will increase the Falcon damage for us, but then it will also give the Falcon, once we hit 5 points, 5 more base critical strike chance, which is really good for it. So once you have those 5 points in there, at this point, you're going to have a few more points for each of your skills. So for Flurry, the next few points that you have here, we're going to build into the damage of it. So 2 points into Deep Strikes and 2 points into Relentless for more attack speed with it. The faster that you can attack with it, especially now that we're going to have it as a bow, because we have those points into the Marksman, you're going to get that health back even faster. And of course, we also get a bit of leech from it. For Smoke Bomb, this is going to be the skill that we drop at this point, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but we'll spec into it later. So you are going to lose a bit of that damage. You're going to lose the Shrouded in Darkness, but this will give us access to Explosive Trap, because you're going to have to use Explosive Trap for a bit and level it up before you can get rid of Flurry. So we're going to go ahead and despecialize Smoke Bomb, and then at this point, we will put into Explosive Trap. And the first thing that you're going to want to do with Explosive Trap is turn it into a bow attack so that you can continue to get that 40 health back every time you do it. If you turn it into its normal by default throwing attack, you won't get health on melee hit, and you're not going to get health back on using a bow attack. So you're going to see that your survivability goes down a ton. So we want to use Flurry until we make sure we turn this into a bow attack with blast rain. So we're going to throw 2 points into minefield, 2 points into clustered explosives, and then 1 point into blast rain. Now at this point, it's a very expensive skill. It's not reflecting it here, but it actually has a mana cost of 24 at this point. So it's going to be very spendy. You can't spam it nonstop, so you're still not going to want to get rid of Flurry. That's going to be your mana generator at this point. As you continue with the points, the next 3, you're going to put 1 into 𝐁𝐿's blueprint for that mana efficiency, then down into Sky Signal, and then 1 into Free Lofting Bird. And this is going to start reducing the cooldown of Falcon skills, so you can use Falcon knives way more often. And then also with Sky Signal, you're going to give your Falcon physical penetration, which will start really boosting its damage every time one of those traps explode. The next points that you spend here, you're going to want to get that mana under control, so cap out the blueprint and then cap out the subtle sabotage. That'll reduce the mana cost down to about 11 or 12, so it's much more manageable, and with a little bit of mana regen on gear, you can spam it a lot more. After that, the next point you want to put into is impact trigger, so the traps just go off instantly, so you can start getting those buffs instantly and just let the Falcon do all of the work for you. And then for the Falcon, the next 4 points that you have here, you're going to want to cap out the avian arsenal, so that's getting 30% of your character damage. And then after that, you want to put 1 more into marking strikes, so that the Falcon chance to inflict that Falconer's mark, so that your traps, when they explode, consume that, giving your Falcon the damage, has a higher chance to happen. As long as you're spamming Falconers or Falcon's knives all of the time, you should have marks kind of constantly out there, but you got to make sure that you're also hitting with traps to actually consume it. And then after that, we're going to go ahead and throw another point in side by side for that remaining cooldown reduction. After that, you're going to want to build into avian stamina for all those additional Falcon strike hits, which will really increase the damage on single target, which is really nice, but we'll get into that when we have our points go up a bit more here. And as we close in on level 35, we'll have some more passive points to do, so let's bounce back over there. At this point, I'm just going to finish out the passives for you so that we're not bouncing around so much, because you should, at this point, just be able to see where you're going to put them as you go. So you're going to want 1 point in Wilderness Scout next, just to get to Outlander's Tenacity, and this is going to give you that maximum health gained as Endurance Special to really stop you from being one-shot. Of course, in Hardcore, this will just reduce that damage, so that random one-shot not happening is what's going to keep you from having to transfer over to Softcore. So with that there, and then you're going to want 1 point in Ranger's Mark, and the Ranger's Mark, every time that you use a bow attack, which we will be doing with both Flurry and with Explosive Trap, you have a chance to give your Falcon +1 melee damage, and that's every time that you use it. There's no stack limit on this, and you don't even have to hit an enemy, so you're just going to want to spam the attack over and over again to give them more flat damage to really boost it. Then we're going to go with 3 points in Raptor's Wing, so there's a chance to gain haste when you hit an enemy or when the Falcon hits an enemy, so like you don't even have to be doing anything technically. You'll also have more damage with haste, and this also increases the Falcon melee attack speed. Once you have enough points, you go up here to Tactician, and this is where you give your Falcon a bunch of flat melee damage. This is really going to boost his damage, so you're going to throw 6 points in there. After that, you're going to want to build into Blast Radius. This will give Dive Bomb, Falcon Knives, everything that's an area skill more area, which will be really nice. So throw 5 points into that, and this will then get you to Evasion Tactics, which will give you Dex, Armor, and Dodge rating, which is very helpful. You also have the option at this point to go Deflect and Weave, and since we're going Hardcore, we're only going to throw 1 point in Evasion Tactics just for extra dodge and armor rating, and then we're going to throw 5 points in Deflect and Weave so that we get all of that extra Glancing Blow and convert all of our block chance at this point to Glancing Blow, because we want to get to 100% Glancing Blow as quick as possible so that we're always guaranteed that 35% DR from hits. After that, what we want to spec into next is going to be a couple more points into Evasion Tactics, a point into Intuitive Connection so that all the Falcon abilities can be instacast instead of stopping you in battle, and then for the huge damage ones, you want Needle-like Precision for all that crit chance, minion crit, and then crit multi and minion crit multi. Now remember, a portion of your crit multi actually goes to the Falcon as well, so he's double dipping on all of these, which is really nice. After that, you can build into the feathers, or you can build into poise. And again, since we're going for full on defense and hardcore, poise is going to be the next 5 points we want. And then I'm going to go with the last 7 points being in finesse them for that critical strike avoidance, and then health gained on crits that we do. And then 2 points in tailwind. That's going to get you to level 70 with all of your passives at this point. And beyond that, we're going to go into the end game guide. So I'm going to leave you right there with the passives. That's where you're going to want them. When we go back to the skills, some more points you're going to want in here. So again, once Explosive Trap has its mana, once you have the 12 points in here, the mana is reduced, you can spam it a lot more. You can go ahead and get rid of Flurry. You're going to despecialize that. You're going to want to do Smoke Bomb. And once you have Smoke Bomb back in here, again, you're going to want to go to specking it back where those points that we had, and then you're going to want to build into more of the Rapid Concealment for that Dust Shroud effect. The next skill that you're going to use for the rogue, you're going to get access to Aerial Assault at about level 35 or just after, and then when you get to level 50, you will spec into actual Dive Bomb, which is going to be great for your single target. For Aerial Assault, the first 12 points that you're going to want to put into this is really getting that cooldown down, so make sure you get 4 into Avian Hunter so you can use it a lot more often. Then you're going to put a point into Skyward Swoop. You're going to put 5 points into Healing Gust so that you can recover a bunch of your missing health every time that you use it. Then you'll want to put 3 points into Refreshing Resolve to get mana back as well. And the last point here for Coordinated Assault puts you at 14 points. After that, you can kind of build into wherever you want. I would go into Featherstorm. It's just a little bit of extra damage for you. And if you build into Shaded Wingspan, you get an extra Falcon when you're near rare enemies or bosses. So it will no longer be interrupted, and it'll actually do the full duration of Featherstorm for you, which is really cool. And then for Dive Bomb, the first 14 points we're going to put into this one. You're really going to want to build into Rush of the Hunt right off the bat, and this will give you increased cooldown so you can use it more often. 3 points into United Assault for even more of that cooldown. Then you want 3 points in Hindering Beak Strike for increased area with it. And then we're going to work over with 4 points into Rushing Rings for more damage, make it come down faster. After that, you'll want to work into Focused Hunter for that mana cost being reduced. And then you can go into both Cloud Gatherer to keep the Smoke Bomb up and Rapid Pursuit for that mana gained whenever it hits a rare or boss for you. And then going back to the first skills for Smoke Bomb, you got a couple more points to play with. You can build into Crimson Shrouds if you really want. For me, I'm just going to go ahead and go into Blood Bandit for that melee damage leached as health. And what you get out of that is Dive Bomb is melee and it counts as your skill. So the damage that the Falcon does, you're actually going to leech, which is really nice with it. And then for Explosive Trap, we got 3 more points we're going to go ahead and throw in with this. And all 3 of those will go into Trap Sprinkler. And that's just so that there's an extra chance for them to drop the traps, because those extra traps being dropped that then explode will then again boost the Falcon's damage, which is really nice with all of that penetration. And then for the Falcon, the next 3 points that I would put here are all going to go into Is It a Bird, just to increase the Falcon damage, which is tripled for Falcon strikes and will really boost its damage. And at this point, you're getting close to level 60, level 70, the passives are up there. And at this point, you can start going towards the end game guide because you are bow attack, and we've already made all the necessary changes. So you can start going towards the end game guide. Again, I'll have this broken down in a much more simpler 1 to 76 guide like I normally do. But again, I can't do that until we actually get the patch tomorrow and play it. But I hope this helps prep you for getting it done if you plan on going Dive Bomb Falconer. Let me know how you think it's going to work for you, or if you even plan on playing this way in the comments below. As always, stay safe, and I'll see you next time.